All right. Welcome, everyone, to our fall quarterly meeting. Thank you so much for making the time. I know a lot of you have very busy schedules this week with school either just starting or almost about to start, and you have a lot of faculty who are needing your attention, or perhaps you're teaching and you're also in a position of having to get ready for the fall semester. So really appreciate you coming, and we want to give everybody an opportunity to share at this meeting um, what's happening around open on their campus, and perhaps if some of the current situation has really made the case for open. And so we'll get to that in a few minutes. So here's our agenda. We want to welcome our brand new member in just a moment out of Texas. And then we're going to have a little update on our Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee from our new representative on that. So I think we're going to skip Open Ed 20 till the end of this meeting, and we're going to go into a shared activity where Lisa and Sue, as you know, our co-presidents, are going to run an activity and ask for you to share the work that you're doing around open right now and how that's going. And we know for some folks, there's been a little hiatus as you've dealt with other critical matters. And then an update on the regional leaders of open education, talk about the fall webinars. Our professional development team has been really hard at work on some really wonderful webinars that I think you're really going to appreciate and going to want to share with other members. Other folks at your institution. Please make sure you share those widely. And then we'll talk a little bit about the fall conferences and what's going on with OE Global, our parent organization. I think we have several of our staff from OE Global joining us. And then talking about what we've been doing over the summer, part of which is the website refresh. So any questions before we get started? That should have given a few more people time to come in. All right, I think you know all of these folks, but we do just, I know for our new members, some of these may be new. And of course, up in the top right, we have Lisa Young, who's the faculty director at the Scottsdale Community College, and Sue Tashjian, who's the coordinator of instructional design and online learning at Northern Essex Community College in Massachusetts. And those are the co-presidents of our executive council and really help make all of this possible and help us drive the programming. And we also have Alexis Clifton with us. She's Senior Instructional Support Specialist at SUNY Geneseo, and she is our representative on the OE Global Executive Board. So thank you for coming, Alexis. And then I think all of you know Liz and I, and I believe many of you know Paul. He's a regular attendee at our meetings, and we really appreciate that. Today we have Alan Levine joining us, who is our Strategy and Engagement Director and just joined us this last summer. So we're really excited to have Alan with us today to talk about some of the OEG member-to-member communication possibilities. And Susan Huggins is our communications director. She's not with us today, but I think many of you know her both through online communications and at various conferences. And here is our executive council, which is just an amazing set of folks. I'm not going to go through all of the names right now, but I recommend that you do check them out. They're on our website along with their institutions as well. And you'll see the people who do so much of the work around planning for CCCOER. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about our new Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee. And I want to introduce Ursula Pike. Ursula is the Associate Director of Digitex, which is, I'm going to get this wrong, the Digital Higher Education Consortium for Texas. And she has been on our EDI committee this summer, along with quite a few of you out there. And she has agreed to be the representative to our executive council. And Ursula, do you have a microphone? Would you like to talk a little bit about what we've been doing this summer?
Sure, I'd love to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. Well, it's great to be here. Yeah, the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee has met twice this summer. Um, and the first one was kind of quick and we kind of went through some ideas, but I feel like we're gaining some momentum and kind of have a path forward. We immediately started collecting resources for promoting equity in course content and practices. That's a Google Doc that's getting bigger every day. We are talking about establishing a learning community for instructional practices and content development focused on equity, diversity, and inclusion, and informing CCCOER's professional development offerings, and informing CCCOER's strategic planning. And we just yesterday or today submitted a proposal to Open Ed related to having a facilitated guided discussion about equitable practices in OER.
Great. Thanks so much, Ursula. And if you didn't get a chance to join the committee, you can still do that. There's a bit.ly there at the bottom of the page about where to join. And we're just about to get our fall meetings underway. So if you go ahead and join, or if there's somebody on your campus who you think would really be inspired to work on a committee like this, please share that link with them, and we'll make sure that they get invited to our next meeting. All right. And oh, we have our, we just wanted to show you our members. We're very excited to have members in 36 states, although we do work with folks outside of those, in the other 14 states, but those are our members, and thrilled to have them. All right, now I wanted to introduce Angelina College, which just joined us this summer. It's a rural community college located in Lufkin, Deep East Texas. I'm sorry, I think there's a little typo there on my slide. And their mission is to provide quality educational opportunities and services to aid students in their service area in reaching their full potential. And they have been doing some OER work for a while now. And I'm hoping that Chris Fanning or Sarah Simon will be able to say a few words about the work they're doing there.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris. Actually, let me just say good afternoon. I said that. We've been doing a LibGuide for OER that includes such things as, well, we just included the searching of the OER Texas repository. Also, a widget that we had borrowed that searches for textbooks and courses, okay, from different things such as OER Commons, OpenStax, Open Oregon, BC Campus, Skills Commons, and so forth. And then we also have where you can search for images and sounds on the LibGuide. That would include things as the Art Institute of Chicago, Ben Sound, the Cleveland Museum of Art, Creative Commons Image Search. And then we also include certain tabs that are learning tools for copyright and open licenses, Creative Commons license attribution resources, and some other helpful websites. We're also in the process of compiling a master spreadsheet, if you will, a Google sheet that lists all of the OERs we're currently using by school and by course, by instructor. So that's kind of where we're at this point, and then we will build up from there. So thank you for letting me speak a moment.
We actually went full OER in I think 99% of our arts and education classes last fall.
Yes.
So we kind of did it really quickly in the transition from spring until last fall. And largely the feedback has been positive, and many of the other schools are now pushing harder to get open resources for their classes, I think, as a result of that.
Yes, very true.
And Sarah, you said the art classes, did I hear that correctly?
Yep, arts and education is all of the visual and performing arts, as well as social and behavioral sciences.
Oh, okay, arts education. I missed that last word. That's wonderful.
Right, which is why we have such things, for searching for images and sounds, different art institutes and museums and so forth.
Yes, yeah, that your LibGuide sounds amazing, and it sounds like you've had a lot of great progress. And I think we just have to have a moment here for Texas, because Ursula was from Texas, Chris and Sarah are from Texas, and I wondered, Judith or Philip, I don't know if Judith, I think you're online. Did you want to mention anything about the OER repository that just launched, I think, last week in Texas?
Oh, sure, Una. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, although we weren't responsible for creating it or developing it. But yes, Texas did officially just yesterday launch OER, or today, I guess today was the official date, but OER Tex, which was developed with legislative funding, but in partnership with ISKME and OER Commons, who developed it as a microsite under OER Commons. So I'll drop the link into chat. Thanks, Una.
Yeah, thank you, Judith. I figured while we were on Texas, we should mention that, because that's really exciting. And Philip Anaya, who's on our executive council, shared that he shared that in our community email. So I assume most of you are on the community email, so you may have already seen that, but great to hear that. All right, at this point, I'm turning it over to Lisa and Sue. And so Lisa, I'm gonna stop sharing so that you can, okay?
It's fine, we can stay on this slide.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Excellent.
And I'll let you introduce it if that makes sense.
Sounds perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. Very excited to have you all here with us today. And we have an activity that we're going to do. As you recall, Una sent out an email asking you to prepare a bit of an elevator speech, so to speak, 1 minute, where we'd like to hear about what opportunities you've experienced and seen and taken advantage of for our open educational practices and different resources that have really occurred over the last 6 months. The world is changing. We have this COVID-19 crisis. There's recognition of systemic racism. There's so many things that are changing in education, and this leads to opportunities in our open educational world. And so hopefully you've prepared a little something to share. And so what's going to happen is Sue is going to go through our participant list and give everybody an opportunity to give a 1 minute update if you have one, and specifically in regard to those opportunities that have arisen due to these areas. And then after you give your elevator speech, we'd like you to go to menti.com and use this code and type in your 3 key words that really cover those opportunities. So we're going to ask you to put those 3 keywords in, and then after everybody gets to share, we'll go ahead and look at the word cloud that's formed through Mentimeter so that we can see what kind of trends there are. So 1 minute, I'm going to be timing, so I'll be jumping in and interjecting when you hit that 1 minute, and I'm going to turn it over to Sue.
All right, thanks, Lisa. All right, so I will go in order down the participant list, and let's start with Alexis.
Of course.
Thank you, Alexis.
Sure. So I'm going to be totally self-serving, and sorry, I'm going to scramble really quickly to grab a link because we did just release an open pedagogy anthology that, sorry, I can't type and think it. Or talk
While you're, we did introduce Alexis, but earlier, Alexis Clifton, who's the senior instructional designer at Geneseo, but please do introduce yourself just in case people haven't met you before.
Yes, good call. Thank you. So this, I work sometimes in partnership with the whole SUNY system. This book I just did is an edited collection I collaborated with the team from the University of Rochester on. And so we were interested in seeing how librarians and teaching faculty were collaborating to develop open pedagogy projects. So this book took about a year and a half to put together, and it happened that we were in the final stages of editing in March when everything started shutting down. And we had the opportunity to put into that book what give the authors an opportunity to say how the COVID crisis had impacted their chapter project. And so they were able to add a little introduction if they wanted to say, you know, why this matters even more, or how they're doing things differently as a result. So really happy we did the open publishing process to be able to add that in at the last minute.
Right in time. Thanks, Alexis.
Thank you, Alexis. All right, and Amy Hofer, would you like to go next?
Hi, this is Amy. I'm the OER coordinator for Oregon's colleges and universities, and I'll confess that I did not prepare in advance, but a couple of things that are kind of top of mind for me right now. One is that when I've been talking with the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, which is the state agency for higher ed here in Oregon, and also with legislators about policy, I really got heads nodding when I frame open education and affordable textbooks as being responsive to the pandemic, because it's really clear that students are more sensitive than ever to the cost of attendance and that access issue that OER can help to solve. So that's actually been kind of a positive outcome of a really terrible situation. And then another thing that has happened, we launched a statewide version of an equity and open education faculty professional development course that was developed at Portland Community College by Jen Cladini. We had about twice as many faculty register as we had seats. So I think that what's been happening with the protests for racial justice has really got a lot of faculty also thinking about how to bring that into their own classrooms and how to maybe look at their open materials and open practices with more of an equity lens. So I'll stop there, thanks.
Thanks, Amy. It's so hard to interrupt you all when you're doing such great work and we want to hear about it. Thank you, Amy.
All right, and Amy Larson?
I'm slow. I knew I was next, Amy and Amy. I knew it. Okay, so one of the things happening is that OER at Lansing Community College is being institutionalized, and it's kind of a rough situation because I'm getting very little feedback on what this actually means due to COVID. And COVID is a crisis in what does OER mean to Lansing Community College right now. So that's where I sit, if you're interested. What I've been doing here is a lot of downtime because I have no direction has allowed me to just research everything in the files. I am not the original OER manager, and therefore I have come up with this cute little, I'm building a website which just organizes what I found, and I put that in the link so you can see how I'm trying to publish what I have found as my predecessor developed. That's what I do.
Thanks for sharing, Amy. That's great. All right, so we're going to move on to Andrea Scott.
Hi there, thank you. I also didn't see the memo about preparing something, but that's okay. I did have the opportunity to attend the Black Minds Matter webinar series because we have been looking for ways to incorporate EDI into our, more into our OER initiative. One positive note, well, lots of positive notes, but one point I'd like to add, I'm chairing the Open SLCC Advisory Committee. And one of our primary goals that we've added, or that has been, it's been prior to the systematic racism conversations that have been happening, but one point that we have been able to focus on is EDI and how we can better incorporate EDI into our open educational resources, our best practices, also the resources that we're developing right now at the institution. And as far as COVID, we've seen we've had quite a bit of faculty interest in OER at our institution, but we've seen more interest, and our office has been extremely busy trying to keep up with the faculty interest in developing OERs. So we've had new faculty come on board, so that's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. We'll move down the list onto Bill Hemmick.
Hey, hi everybody. Yeah, I did not quite prepare, but I do have a story. We're simultaneously, because our faculty have become, due to COVID and due to the other current events, our faculty have become really focused on equity and are thinking more about OER for that reason. But then on the other hand, we've been remote since March. We're still remote. We're going to be remote until further notice. And with all the training involved and all the extra course preparation, there's more interest and less time. So we're kind of trapped. But one thing that that happened, and Una's already aware of this, that was sort of a blessing that popped up out of the blue. We had to change the way we do in-service this year because we usually do a full day the day before the fall semester starts, and we have, you know, president speeches and provost speeches and presentation of faculty, but most of the day is really intensive professional development that's required. Obviously, doing that on Zoom for 8 hours straight would have been agony for everybody, so we had to come up with a different system. And what we decided to do was come up with a list, and it turned out to be a very long list of professional development activities and various topics that were happening over the course of the second half of the summer, both in-house and out-of-house opportunities. And we required our faculty, the full-time faculty were required to choose anyone that participate in 3 hours worth of these, whichever ones they wanted, part-time faculty 1 hour. And one of the ones that was right around the time we were putting this together that I found out about the tutorials.
We need to wrap you up because we've given you an extra minute.
Sorry.
Please, yeah, sorry.
Long story short, one of the offerings was the tutorials that CCCOER did this summer, and we had a lot of participation. It was really overwhelming, and I'm getting at least one course redesign out of it. So thank you, Liz, in particular.
That's awesome, Bill. Sorry to have cut you off. We need to try to keep you all to about a minute if possible.
All right, and I skipped Annie, so I'd like to hear from Annie Knight.
Hi everybody. I'm sorry I didn't receive that memo either, but I will let you know that over the summer we did some work as far as promoting OER and doing outreach to faculty, especially those faculty who heavily rely on our physical course reserves at the library. So I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. Let me start there. I'm Annie Knight. I'm one of the OER kind of team leads over at Santa Ana College in Southern California. Anyway, over the summer, we did targeted outreach with faculty to try to help them figure out if there were OER alternatives for those heavily relying on the library course reserves. With our library not being open, students wouldn't have access to those physical reserves. We're still continuing that work, and this fall our OER faculty work group will be continuing to develop further promotional materials, including videos, guides, professional development opportunities for faculty. And over the summer we created several free resource LibGuides to cover various subject areas and disciplines, but also an anti-racist resource LibGuide to share OER and kind of ZTC type resources for faculty and students as well.
And you've got to wrap it up a little bit.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thanks, Annie. If you could share those resources in the chat, that would be awesome.
Sure.
So we'll move on to Christina Trunnell.
Hi, so I'm Christina Trunnell. I am the Montana statewide OER librarian, and our system covers all of the public, private, and tribal colleges in the state. And with COVID, we took a little bit of a different approach and stepped back from OER a little bit in the effort to be more responsive to faculty and their needs. So all of the trainings that we offered during the late spring and summer were about course redesign, online lectures, how to incorporate good news into your online courses, things that could help like with the emotional and mental stresses of COVID and teaching and online / hybrid education. So those opportunities actually have led to a significant uptick in our adoptions because everything that I do is embedded in OER. So faculty are coming to learn how to create quality online lectures, and they're getting like a pinch of OER throughout. And so I teach an online redesign your course with OER instructional design course.
And Christina, we need to wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. I can just end there. That's okay.
Thanks, Christina. Christopher Fanning?
Yes.
So would you like to share some of the opportunities that you've been working on this summer?
Actually, we've just been kind of working on compiling the list for all the OERs by school. I've just been barely adding anything else to the LibGuide. The LibGuide was created before that.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. You already shared what you were doing earlier.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move on to Kurt. And we had a timer that we were going to use so we could give everyone exactly a minute, but we didn't get it on the slide. So
I think I have a solution.
Lisa has a bell now. So we'll move on to Kurt. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kurt Laird. I work at Columbus State Community College. I'm taking over for the legendary Bruce Massey's, who just retired as of yesterday. So I'm diving in, head first. I used to be a dean at Columbus State. I'm in a different role now, so I have some level of familiarity with it. And mostly what we have been working on is our approach to the end of this semester. We had a grant opportunity internally that was funding our OER development. We've developed more OERs than every other community college and university in the state of Ohio combined. And that's only been that successful because we've had this money available internally. So we're working on talking about that, about how we're going to approach the institution on continuing those funds. And much like all of you, we've latched on to the idea of equity because we think this is a big equity priority. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Jenna?
Hi. I'm here from the Connecticut Community College system. I'll share that at our college, we also have a reserve textbook collection, and when the library closed, this exposed how heavily students depended on it. Now that we're open again, we're only open limited hours, and also the reserve textbooks can be checked out, but then they need to be quarantined for a week when they come back. So it's really not a good solution for students who don't have the textbook. And yes, this is my first meeting. I'm here for Eileen Rhodes, who couldn't make it today. So anyway, over the summer, we took the opportunity to email our faculty. We actually adapted a statement from the University of Guelph about commercial textbooks present challenges, and offered faculty help with finding OER digital reserve type things, or just other solutions for their students so that they didn't have to assume the risk of coming to the college to use a reserve, and also the limited availability of reserves.
All right, thank you, Jenna. Thanks for sharing. Welcome.
Thanks.
So next we have Jim Julius.
Hi, my name is Jim Julius. I'm Faculty Director of Online Education at Miracosta College in San Diego County, California. I think in terms of the specifics on this prompt, what happened at our college when COVID hit and we were forced to go online was a tremendous outpouring of collegial support within every department and discipline. I mean, there was a lot of work centrally to support faculty in their process of getting up and going online, but there was also a great deal of collegial support. And I think part of that collegial support was sharing course resources. And because we have so many folks who are experienced teaching online and using OER, I think that really spread the awareness, and in many cases shared, course shells that were built around OER and that kind of thing. So that has really upped our percentage of our courses that are using zero textbook cost materials. We're up to 340 courses that are listed that way, course sections that are listed that way this fall, which is a jump of at least 100, I think, from where we were a year ago. So that's been our biggest impact. I think we also, like all of you, have a lot of focus on equity, so that's expanding that as well.
All right, thank you, Jim. Judith?
Thank you. I'm Judith Sebesta, Executive Director of the Digital Higher Education Consortium of Texas. And Jenna, I'll be lucky if my golden retriever doesn't chime in as well while I'm talking. We actually began co-organizing with the Texas Digital Library the second statewide OER conference, Open Texas it was going to be 2020, and we were going to be doing it at University of Houston downtown, with that being co-hosted by the Houston Community College. That was going to be scheduled for the 1st of October, and we had to postpone the conference and move it to a virtual conference. So this is providing opportunities, though, maybe not the least of which is we now have more time to plan the conference, which is good. But also I think it's a great opportunity to be able to open it up to higher attendance because of it being virtual. So we're really excited about it. I'll drop the link to the site, and that way you'll have the information for the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Kelly Carpenter.
Hi, I'm Kelly Carpenter. I'm from Lakeshore Technical College in the Wisconsin Technical College system. So I'm one of the 16 that are here. And I maybe have a little different story. So for us, we are open. We are back open 100%. We've been full-time back here since June 3rd. So it's been a little bit different, and our faculty are maybe a bit more panicked because they completely had to shift to what we're calling iFlex. They had to not only have a fully online course ready, but they had to have a fully in-person. So right now our students are choosing to either come to campus or do it fully online or switch between the two. So for most of the summer, our faculty we're just trying to keep afloat and what that means and how they're going to shift. So we've already started. This is week 2. So really, I have not been talking much about OER just because I think they have so many other things that are on their plate. But it's in the back of my mind till once we get into the swing of things, I think we'll be ready again.
Right. Wow. Thank you, Kelly. All right. So Kim Ernstmeyer.
Hi, I'm Kim Ernstmeyer. I am the OpenRN Grant Project Director, and the COVID crisis has just made equity even more important, as some of the other speakers noted. So in our textbooks, we published our first textbook, Nursing Pharmacology, in Pressbooks, which allowed for downloadable versions. Weren't super user-friendly. So we worked with Xanadu, the publisher of OpenStax, to create a print version, and they also have provided a free downloadable PDF that students that have possibly poor internet access can download read at home, and then complete the online activities when they do have internet access. And so far, we've had over 200 colleges across the country download that PDF, so we know that the need is out there. As a result, as we continue development of our nursing skills and nursing fundamentals textbooks, we're very careful about how we hyperlink or include supplementary material. Instead of just including a hyperlink that would be easily accessible via an electronic version, we're putting in icons and then specific URLs so that students can go to that supplementary online content and videos when they do have online access. And one other thing, just to mention, we did create several H5P activities. We're calling those virtual simulations that are branching scenarios. We're incorporating videos that are from our OpenRN channel into these adaptive learning activities. And we'll also be incorporating our virtual reality scenarios in the same way. And so far, we've had over 13,000 views and 90 hours of watch time. So we know those are also.
And Kim, we've got to wrap you up. Thank you.
Sure.
Wow, that's amazing, Kim. Thank you for sharing. Paula?
Hi, everybody. I'm Paula McNevich from the College of Southern Nevada in Las Vegas. I'm an instructional designer and I'm the co-chair of our OER task force. And so my main job was to make sure everybody could be online starting last Monday. So I did squeeze in some OER. I want to shout out to Michaela Hooper from Lynn Benton Community College. She shared an email on our listserv, and I used that email to email specific departments with OpenStax textbooks to say, hey, if you're looking for a different textbook instead of the publisher, here's another one to review. And we actually got to faculty to switch over to open with that. And during convocation, we were able to have a faculty panel, and we talked about thinking about using open and reviewing open while you're reviewing textbooks. So we're really trying to look at just adopting textbooks. And then the last thing I got to do was reach out to one of my community colleges in Nevada, and we're trying to do some collaboration with them as beginning some state collaboration stuff. So, so yeah, I can't say we've done a super lot, but I like baby steps, and I feel like we just keep moving along and celebrate anything we can. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Paula. Rodney?
Hey everybody, I'm Rodney Powell. I'm the Executive Director of our Center for Teaching and Learning at Central Carolina Community College in North Carolina. The past 6 months or so, we've, right about the time that the COVID hit, when in March, right before we broke, we had a meeting with our Executive Vice President, who is also our Chief Academic Officer, and he gave us the go-ahead to, I showed him some data on what we have been doing the last couple of years, and he gave us the approval to really push and gave us a few dollars to try to move towards Z degrees for both our Associate in Arts and our Associate in Science degrees, which are our 2 university transfer degrees, as well as the early childhood education teacher preparation degrees, which are pretty new in this state. So hopefully within the next 1.5 to 2 years, we will have a couple of Z degrees, 3 or 4 maybe, that will be some of the first in our state to do that. And so we spent this past summer doing more course development, and now we're able to give some people teaching really time to adopt OER for courses. And the way we've gone about that is looking at the most popular courses for those degrees and starting at the top of the list and working our way down. So far we've ticked off about half of about 10 out of the first 15 or so. That's what we're doing right now to try to even the playing field for our students.
Thank you, Rodney. And Sunny, we have a few more people to share. Sunny?
Hi, can you, I hope I'm on. Okay, so I'm the Digital Initiatives Librarian at Kapiolani Community College, and forgive me for not being prepared for this, and my heartfelt thanks to all of those whose names start from A to R. Our library is focused on safely providing in-person services. I haven't been working on that much OER work. Stories that I can share is before COVID hit, we had a Chinese instructor who had an OER Creation Award. He converted one class online, and then he went ahead and converted 2 more classes. And by the time COVID hit, he was ready. So that was a real plus for him, and I share that story. I was given an opportunity to co-present an introduction to OER tutorial during the summer at a UH System online skills summer camp. So I took OEN slides and CCCOER slides, and I mixed them up. Thank you very much, all of you. We loved and emphasized the equity slide, and I added a COVID slide to make that emphasis. Hawaii is a tourism-based economy. We're expecting amazingly drastic funding cuts. They're even talking about personnel issues. So in our request for renewed funding, I'm pointing out the impact on DFW rates, student grades, retention, and enrollment. Thanks.
Thank you, Sunny. All right, so I think we covered everyone. Ursula, did you have anything that you'd like to share?
Oh, I just wanted to point out that this summer we published the Texas Learn OER course, and that we Digitex partnered with Carrie Gitz, and I'm putting the link in the chat. And she was really good about going in and making sure that under the why of OER, there was a discussion about equity and openness, that access and equity are not the same thing. And then also just how useful the value of open during a time of COVID crisis. So I thought that was really quick turnaround to make the training as relevant as possible.
Right, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Great resources in the chat. All right, so Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you for the Menti.
Excellent. Thank you. I had the alarm going, but I don't think it worked. So sorry about that. That didn't work out. I was blasting out my ears with the alarm here, but it wasn't transitioning into the mic. Thank you everybody so much for sharing such fantastic resources and ideas. I know that I can't wait to go through a lot of the links that you all shared and review them and see how we can incorporate some of these things into our institution. It's really exciting to see the work that you're all doing and get to see your faces, which is absolutely wonderful. With that, please take another moment for those of you who have not filled out the Mentimeter. So far, we've only had 10 out of 28 at the beginning, 23 now, who have had an opportunity to post those keywords of kind of what you focused on in regard to this prompt. And so if you can just take another moment to, those of you who haven't gone to menti.com and used the code 9954375, which is in the chat. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm hoping. I just got a new computer this week, and fascinatingly, it is getting upset about my privacy settings. Let me try again. Okay, you should be able to share my screen now, and so far you should be able to see it. And we have had 13 of you respond. And what's so interesting about the keywords that you all have who have added into the Menti is that we definitely see the trend of equity coming through in our word cloud. But what I'm also seeing through this word cloud is this huge diversity of different things that you've all been working on. The only thing that has had multiple hits is equity, which has been, you know, definitely an area that we've been focusing on over these last, 3 months or so. But what I'm also seeing is that there's this huge opportunity for us to go through all of the resources and learn from each other and implement some of the things that you all have done. And so that I think is really exciting, because we all took these just very interesting different circumstances, and we all made like a lot of different blends of lemonade. And so thank you all so much for participating in this activity. I learned a ton. I'm sure you all did too. And we do have the chat that we can take some of those resources that you've all shared and get them out to everybody too. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Una.
All right, thank you, Sue and Lisa, for for that, and yeah, for the inspiration and of all the amazing things everyone's been doing over the last five months or so. And yeah, so thank you, and we would definitely will share this, share the Menti. So thank you. It was a lot of fun to hear your voices. We don't always have time to do that at these meetings. I always am torn between making them an hour and a half, but we probably will go over just a little bit today. So a little bit of warning, but we are recording. So if you have to leave, don't feel bad about that at the top of the hour. So we have some really wonderful fall webinars in the planning stages and starting September 16th. And I will say that our Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee has informed some of this work. So we're really reaching out and trying to find voices that aren't usually elevated. And the only webinar I would like to speak about, and actually I'd like to, if Suzanne Joachim is available, I'd like to ask her to talk about the one on September 16th, Decolonizing the Course. Oh, you know, Suzanne was here earlier. I don't know, but Suzanne, perhaps I think she had to leave because we didn't actually hear from her. So we have three speakers coming in to talk, and it's very focused on equity. So I hope that this will be useful to you and to folks at your institution. So we have Heather Blicker, a librarian, coming in, and she'll be talking about finding images that are representative of your students, so diverse images. We have an instructional coach and faculty member from Colorado, one of the Colorado community colleges, who's coming in to talk about quote unquote decolonizing your syllabus. He worked with the Center for Urban Education in a program where they worked on making their syllabuses more inclusive. So I think there's going to be a lot of really good information there. And finally, we have one of the faculty members from one of the CUNY colleges who's going to come in and talk about a textbook that she published with her students who are in fact, these particular students are all immigrants or the children of immigrants, talking about their experiences, and it's openly published. So I think that's going to be a really fun webinar. I hope you can all join us. As you can see, there's some really great ones coming up in addition to that. And thanks to Liz for, I think we announced those yesterday, so you can register and invite folks now. Any questions on that? All right. I just wanted to mention our Regional Leaders of Open Education project, which is moving ahead. Great work happening in the 4 different areas: policy and strategy, professionalism, sustainability, and stewardship. I think we probably only have one member on today, and Amy, I'm not going to put you on the spot. There's a little summary here of the work they're doing, and I know some of you are participating, and I know that there's meetings being scheduled in September for all of the different areas. And so if Amy or Judith want to speak to either of their areas, I'll give them a chance. But if you are not part of Arlo and would like to be, you can contact us. And this has been going on for almost a year now. So, and of course, all members are welcome to join a group. And we also have folks that are at universities and library consortia, and also some of the educational compacts participate. So, all right, I will leave it at that then. Just to say there's really great work. Oh, and there will be presentations on this, at both Open Ed and OE Global, assuming that the proposals are accepted, but I believe they will be. They're really outstanding about working across boundaries, across state boundaries on issues of open education. The Open Ed Conference, I think many of you know, is coming up in November. It's the second week of November, right? Yes, 9th through 13th. And I just put this in there because of course it's our big North American conference, and we will be there. And I hope many of you are going to be there and presenting as well. And we'll plan some kind of a social activity. We don't really know exactly what that's going to look like, but we'll keep you posted on that. And there is still an opportunity to submit proposals until today at midnight Hawaii time. So, and I have a couple that I have to submit. So that server's going to be busy. And now I want to turn this over to Paul Stacy, our Executive Director of OE Global, to talk with you about the other Open Ed conference, which is happening this November, the week after Open Ed 20. Paul?
Yeah, thanks, Una. So as Una has mentioned, as you can see on the slide, OE Global also hosts a conference, and it's kind of, our conference immediately follows the one for North America, so they're sort of back to back. There's a few things that are perhaps different about our conference, and maybe I'll highlight those just to sort of perhaps tantalize you into attending both conferences. One is that while our conference, like the North American one, is spread over a week, we've decided to have the program, the formal program, be only on 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And a difference between our program and the North American one is that we actually have 3 co-hosts. So the main host is in Taiwan, but we have another co-host that will be helping make the program available in Europe, in the Netherlands. That's where they're located, and a third co-host in Toronto. So in an effort to make the entire event available to everyone around the world, we thought it would be advantageous to spread the program across 3 time zones, which makes it possible for people to participate no matter where they are. Another difference is that we've made the Tuesday and Thursday the kind of networking or social interaction days where there'll be no formal program, but there'll be a lot of activities around providing people with an opportunity to talk to the presenters, to meet their colleagues from around the world, and to engage in some fun and interactive activities. And then I guess perhaps another couple of quick things would be that our conference is also placing a large emphasis on asynchronous participation. So yes, there'll be lots of synchronous sessions, but in addition, every session will have its own asynchronous area within something we call OEG Connect. And in that asynchronous area, of course, the sessions that are synchronous, the recording link will be there, as well as any resources, the slides, the additional sites that people encourage you to explore, and opportunities to actually discuss what has taken place in the synchronous sessions. So there's again, an effort made to embrace the online virtual nature of the conference and to provide an opportunity for people to asynchronously participate, perhaps in sessions that were scheduled at a time not convenient to them. Lastly, we've mapped the whole conference to the UNESCO OER recommendations. So you'll be able to actually pick an area of focus from the UNESCO OER recommendation, let's say building capacity, and find all the sessions that deal with that particular topic and choose to attend them if you wish. But maybe I'll leave it like that. Una, I know that we're running out of time.
Oh, thank you very much, Paul. Yes, I think this is, it's going to be a really fun conference. It's really taking advantage of some of the affordances of being virtual. So, as Paul mentioned, we really have representatives from all over the world. I'm not sure what the number is, but generally it's from something in excess of 40 countries presenting on their open projects. So it's a really wide variety of perspectives on what open is. All right. Alan Levine, our director of member-to-member collaboration, is going to talk a little bit about OEG Connect, which Paul just mentioned, and is going to be a key part of participating in the conference.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Una, for inviting me in here to talk about Connect. It's still soft launch is the right word because we're shuffling things around, but one of the things that's going to happen is it's more or less going to be the place where the conference that Paul described is going to be based. And so the idea is that this is like less of a formal website, and this is more of a discussion community. It's using the open community building platform discourse. So there will be kind of like a structure where each session has the session information, the resources that people share, but you basically comment directly in there. So there'll be a mix of things that are highly structured in terms of the program and where the keynotes and the sessions are, but we're really looking for ways we can have a lot of interaction between participants. So we're now just working to put things together because it was kind of an interesting jigsaw puzzle to put together the program. But as Paul mentioned, there's going to be almost like 15 hours of each day of continuous programming to make it flexible for people's time zones around the world. Obviously, there's a lot of conferences going on, especially in November. But this is a format where you can sort of take advantage of the timing and pick the things that are most interesting, and as well as we're looking for a lot of ways to have people use the asynchronous or other means to do some networking. And so if there are opportunities or things that CCCOER wants to organize in terms of some kind of activity or meetup or asynchronous or even synchronous things that can happen on those Tuesday, Thursdays, please let us or Una know. If you really want to get in there and look around, I'm going to put a special link in there. That will let you join the conference, the Community OEG Connect. You won't have to be moderated like the normal application procedure that happens when people click the join button. But also you automatically get recognized as an OEG member as well as a member of CCCOER. So I'm getting there, look around. We're still working to organize it and make the entrance a little bit more smoother than it is now, but it is an open community. So thank you very much. And we're really looking for ways that maybe, you can help us figure out what kind of things that would help CCCOER connect even more than they already do, which is quite substantial.
Thanks so much, Alan, for sharing that. And sorry, I hit the wrong button there. For sharing that and for putting the link in there to invite you to join and just check it out. It's not a commitment to anything, but it's an opportunity to see some conversations and to start some new conversations of your own around issues of your own. So, and I did want to mention, I know we're hitting on the hour. We have a few last things that we want to share and about summer and so forth, which is of course well worth hanging around for. I think we have about 5 more minutes of programming to share with you. Understand if you can't, of course. And then if there's any of you who want to discuss something in an open discussion time, we will also be available for that at the end. So just wanted to mention that. And I want to turn this over to Liz Yada, our communities manager, to talk about the great work she and others have been doing this summer.
Thanks, Anna. So as Bill Hemmig mentioned earlier, we had OER tutorials. There were 5 30-minute introductory OER tutorials, and they were all recorded, and the slides and the video are available on our website. I put the link in the chat, or it's also under the Learn tab, and it's just free to anybody, so it's a great resource if you want to point people to it. I've also been working on the new member toolkit. It was originally written in 2018 with help from some other executive council members, and since then it's only had some minor updates. So we're adding a section to let everyone know about open educational global activities, because those are all available to you as the CCCOER members. And we're also going to talk a little bit about our special projects. So we want to let people know the things we do besides our member meetings and our webinars and things that people may already know about. The last thing is the website redesign, which has a whole slide for that. So we're doing a refresh of the website. The content won't change, but we're changing up the look of it, hopefully be a little sleeker, a little bit more modern. You can see the top couple things there. Couple additional features is we're going to put in a filter for our case studies because we now have enough of them that it's getting a little hard to sort through them. And for those of you who gave us member testimonials in the annual survey, we're going to be displaying those near the bottom of the page, and you can see there's a little picture there. It will be 3 of them that I'll scroll through. I think that's it for me.
Great, thanks so much, Liz. If there's ways that you'd like to be more involved in CCCOER, we certainly welcome that. We will have a new member mixer on December 3rd, which is a Thursday. It's the first week in December. And that new member mixer is actually an opportunity for older members, not necessarily age-wise, but more experienced members to join with new members and share different insights. And we haven't set up the topics for that yet, but stay tuned for that. That'll be our next quarterly meeting before our January meeting. If you have case studies you want to share with us, take a look at the ones on the website, and we have a template that we're asking people to use. And we'd love to post that. If you want to contribute to one of our guest blog posts, we also have a Google form there. You can suggest webinar speakers and topics by using this bit.ly here for our webinars. As I said, the fall webinars are already chosen at this point, but we very much welcome your input for spring. We also use our annual survey to determine that, and among other items. And sometimes we do special webinars in between our scheduled ones. So if you have a topic that you feel is really important and has that kind of appeal, contact us. We'd be happy to help you with that. And then I just want to leave it open if anyone would like to grab the mic or type in the chat window about something that they want to share. Either they want some feedback on, or just simply want to share. This is the time for that. So. While we're waiting for anyone to come up with a topic, we do want to thank you all for coming and participating and being members. This time of sharing is so invaluable, and we just learn from each other. So it's, and this has been a wonderful example today, and we'll make sure that we get that out to the folks who weren't able to join us for today's meeting due to more pressing matters.
I have a question, and this may have already occurred. I'm not good at following what's going on everywhere, but has there been a workshop or session on OER repositories, places where people can store their work?
Has CCCOER done one?
Mm-hmm.
We certainly have over the years. And I know that we had somebody from LibreText, we had Delmar Larson, who is the executive director from LibreText, give us a presentation. I think that was last fall. So that sounds like a topic of interest to you, Sunny?
Well, yes, and the reason being is this. We've been using DSpace for quite some time at the University of Hawaii system level. And we do have an OER community. Right now, the library that controls that is looking at changing the institutional repository to maybe another system. So that's part of the conversation. So I'm curious to see what other institutions are using to store their own works.
Right. Yes, and I've been in a series of webinars over the summer on different alternatives around repositories such as the OER Commons. Skills Commons is another one that offers a way to do repositories. So there's a number of options out there. I can send you some information that I have. We have some members who also recently, within the last year or two, brought up systems, and so that I think they'd be happy to speak with you about that.
Okay, thank you.
And is anyone online want to share something with Sunny who as well?
So it seems like a lot of institutions are signing up to various public repositories as opposed to their own institutional repository.
Well, all of these repositories allow you to customize it, and so you brand it. So it's your repository, but you're right, it's hosted, I believe it's hosted by them, and it's using their architecture.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who's sort of growing it from the ground up, at least recently, but it's quite possible I missed some.
Okay, thank you. And thanks to Kim for that comment, yeah. About LibreText, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they definitely are harvesting OER and saving it in their repository. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Delmar's been working with some of our faculty very closely. Actually, our Chinese language class is in LibreText, so that was our college's first book published that way.
Yeah. It's another exciting project, the LibreText Open Textbook Project. Yeah. Any other topics? And thank you for that, Sunny. It might be worth us doing a repository update at some point. We can also bring it to our December meeting for sure. All right. Well, I think we should let the rest of you get back to your day then. And thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you online. And please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about what's happening and if there's any assistance that we can provide.
And I want to give a shout out to Liz and Una one more time for the summer tutorials. They were just really fantastic. It was a great refresh and an update for me. And you kind of saved my butt for preparing for the summer camp. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that, Sunny. And yes, thanks to Liz. But also, we had some great presenters with us, and they all came from our community. So thanks to all of them as well.
Yes, thank you all.
All right. Have a great rest of your afternoon and get those submissions in if you're still working on them.